On April 6, 2025, Red River Unitarian Universalist Church proudly presented the service I Dissent by the Reverend Dr. Mark Y. A. Davies. Welcome from Red River Unitarian Universalist. Thank you for joining us. The religion we practice in this church is centered in the here and now, rather than the hereafter. It is more of a thinking kind of religion than a believing kind. It is governed more by reason than by tradition, more concerned with the present than the past. It is concerned with getting the most out of life, with living wisely and well. A major aim for us is continually expanding our understanding of life and ourselves. This church is a community of people who share in the free and open search for a level of understanding that will enable us to be more fully and effectively alive. The church does not tell us what we must believe. It stimulates us to think. It supports us in our search. You are welcome to join us. Our centering value is love, with transformation, generosity, equity, interdependence, justice, and pluralism.
Let us come now together to declare with joy our resilience, to proclaim on purpose. We have survived the pandemics of our time. We have survived many struggles of our time. We have survived. We are surviving. We have pivoted. We have planned. We have replanned. We have thrown sometimes all plans to the wind. In this place, we will say without shame, some days we lost our way, maybe our passwords, and we have not always been our best selves. We are learning, and not always quickly, to regroup and remember perfection was never the point. We are here because we long to try again, to promise with people to be partners in this long haul work of loving and becoming, even while we grieve also the cost, which is not small and lingers in our hearts and turns only sometimes to rage. Here, let your body tell the truth. Shake free the stories that live in your skin. Breathe in your beauty and breathe out your burdens. Breathe in our beauty. Breathe out our burdens. Be here with it all, with all of us, and the freedom of this day. The storm is passing over. The sun will break through. A new day will dawn for us all. At this time, we have an opportunity to light our candles of community. You can light a candle for a joy or a concern or simply to bring more light into our space.
All over brothers and sisters all over this land. Ooh, if I had a song, I'd sing it in the morning, I'd sing it in the evening, all over this land. I'd sing out danger, I'd sing out a warning, I'd sing out love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land. Ooh, and I got a hammer, and I got a bell, and I got a song to sing all over this land. It's the hammer of justice, it's the bell of freedom, it's the song of love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land. It's the hammer of justice, it's the bell of freedom, it's the song of love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land.
I do have to say, point of personal privilege, that when I deleted my Twitter account, the only thing I was really sad about in deleting the Twitter account was the fact that it meant deleting the fact that Paul from Peter, Paul, and Mary had retweeted one of my tweets. I should have screenshot it. Let's stand and body our spirit for our chalice lighting, the spoken affirmation, and the lighting of the peace candle. This light we kindle is set in the lamp of our history. We inherit this free faith from the brave and gentle, fierce and outspoken hearts and minds that have come before us. Let us be worthy inheritors of this faith, and through our good works, pass it boldly to a new generation. Let us join together in the spoken affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and freedom, and to help one another. We light this peace candle to remind us of all the places in the world where there is no peace. Our peace candle needs to be brighter. Join me in the words now on the screen. Lead me from death to life, from falsehood to truth. Lead me from despair to hope, from fear to trust. Lead me from hate to love, from war to peace. Let peace fill our hearts, our world, our universe. You may be seated. At this time, we'll have a stewardship moment with Bruce Cameron.
Yeah, well, you guys will be sorry. Once I get up here, I never leave. A few words about the coming pledge drive, how I became a UU. I think I'll start with why I come here every Sunday. I come here for the nourishment of my soul. And I thought, boy, I like how that really sounds. What does it mean? It means I look forward to coming here every Sunday because I know that I will always leave here feeling so much better than when I got out of bed. My whole attitude is so much better. Unitarians smile a lot, they laugh a lot, and they have a value system that right with mine. How did I get here? I was dating this really foxy gal in 1979. We were sitting in a Japanese restaurant in Addison. She said, would you go to church with me tomorrow? I thought, whatever you want, sweetie. It was First Church Unitarian in Dallas. I need to back it up just a notch. I was raised in a congregational religion and attended a congregational church in Detroit, Michigan, until the family moved to Tucson, and then it was a Presbyterian. I went to Baptist summer camp, 11, 12, and 13 years of age. We had to memorize passages before we could go out and play in the boats and swim and stuff. It was really educational. Consequently, I could go to anybody's church. I wasn't limited to just one. When we left that service, I looked at Carolyn and I said, I feel like I've come home. Didn't know what I was missing. Didn't know the Unitarians even existed. Marty Robinson, some of you may know, as a almost saint from First Church. She rounded up 30 of us who lived in Farmers Branch in Carrollton to start a new congregation. And that new congregation was Horizon. Carolyn served on the board for 6 years, and this dude just went around making furniture and stuff. I'm going to shift into the pledge, because I think this is all relative. Carolyn decided what we were going to pledge. Carolyn took care of all the house bills and everything. And I like to tell people I was a kept man. I had my own checking account, my own debit card, and I didn't mess with any of that stuff. House insurance, car insurance, house payments, none of that. She took care of all of that. It's fine with me. If she's happy, I'm happy. So that worked out really well. Most regrettably, Carolyn died in the middle of June 2024. With her died half of our annual income. So I've been thinking, what am I going to do to try to match what I paid last year? And an inspiration. You're spending way too much money, Bruce, on going out to eat. The kitchen is your friend. Give up some of those $15 sandwiches, plus iced tea, plus you can't get out of there. And if you go out as a couple, you can't get out for less than $50. So that's what I'm going to do. For what the rest of you have got that you can get to, you'll have to sort that out. We need your money to keep this place going. As you're all well aware, utilities have gone up. As a matter of fact, I can't think of anything that's gone down. So work it out, come up with your best figures, and get your pledges in so the folks who are doing the managing for this building and all of its activities and support, we're like an oasis. We are truly an oasis. So do the math, get in the paperwork, so we can keep on doing the things we have been doing. Thank you, guys. That's it. I'm sorry, one last word, please forgive me. The Reverend Dennis Hamilton, Horizon Unitarian Church in Carrollton, Texas, when he did a begathon for money, he always said, give until you feel good about it.
Our opening thought today comes from Florence Kennedy, from her writing Institutionalized Oppression versus the Female. You've got to rattle your cage door. You've got to let them know that you're in there and that you want out. Make noise, cause trouble. You may not win right away, but you'll sure have a lot more fun.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter rejoicing, come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter rejoicing, come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter rejoicing, come in. Enter rejoice. Here we go. Last time. Enter rejoicing, come in. Enter rejoicing, come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter rejoicing, come in. Today will be a joyful day. Today will be a joyful day. Today will be a joyful day. One more. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice and come in.
Our next reading is from James Baldwin, from the autobiographical sketch and Notes of a Native Son. Baldwin writes, "I love America more than any other country in the world, and exactly for this reason I insist on the right to criticize her perpetually. I think all theories are suspect, that the finest principles may have to be modified or may even be pulverized by the demands of life, and that one must find, therefore, one's own moral center and move through the world hoping that this center will guide one all right." Our meditation this morning comes from the words by Jules Taylor, "Love looks different." Take a moment to be seated in a comfortable way, perhaps both of our feet on the ground. Take a moment to relax and breathe in and out and in and out. Keep breathing. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It is not proud. Love bears all things. We know these words, use these words when we refer to one person loving another. Love looks different when we relate to systems. Love looks different in the face of injustice. It is then that love is resistant, love is defiant, it is not backing down, it is staying in the streets. Love is holding each other and ourselves accountable. Love is challenging because none of us is free until all of us are free. Love is protest. Protest is love. Love bears all things. Our next reading is by John Stuart Mill from his work on liberty. Government silencing of speech is as noxious or more noxious when exerted in accordance with public opinion than when in opposition to it. If all humankind minus one were of one opinion, and only one person were of the contrary opinion, humankind would be no more justified in silencing that one person than they, if they had had the power, would be justified in silencing humankind.
You got to do when the Spirit says do. You got to do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you got to do. Oh Lord, you got to do when the Spirit says do. 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 You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you got to sing. Oh Lord, you got to sing when the Spirit says sing. 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 You got to dance when the Spirit says dance. You got to dance when the Spirit says dance. When the Spirit says dance, you got to dance. Oh Lord, you got to dance when the Spirit says dance. 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 You got to shout when the Spirit says shout. You got to shout when the Spirit says shout. When the Spirit says shout, you gotta shout. Oh Lord, you gotta shout when the Spirit says shout. 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 You got to do when the Spirit says do. You got to do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you got to do. Oh Lord, you got to do when the Spirit says do. 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 Spirit says do.
The ability to express ourselves freely in ways that do no harm to others, and to peacefully assemble in protest of injustices. These are critical to the well-being and the flourishing of any human community. These are core rights that we have celebrated, that we have agreed upon as a society, and that up until now we have protected, especially more recently as a society. The philosopher John Stuart Mill, whom I just read, made the case that even when we think a dissenting view is wrong, it is still important that persons have the freedom to express that view, as long as they are not harming others. We are all fallible. We're human beings. It's the nature of being a human being, to be fallible. And it is important for dissenting voices to be heard as a way of challenging us to think critically about our own views. How many times have there been ideas expressed in the past that were viewed as wrong at the time? Quite a few. But now, many of those views are seen as both correct and helpful for the happiness and well-being of persons in the human community. What was seen as wrong by almost everybody in the past sometimes is seen as being right by almost everyone in the present. In fact, every bit of progress in human history was made possible by persons who were courageous enough to speak out against the prevailing norms of their time and place. Even if the dissenting view is not accepted immediately, it can become a seed for progress at a later date, a seed for progress in the future. We see this in the history of the Supreme Court of the United States of America. There are a number of examples in the history of the Supreme Court where the dissenting opinions have been some of the very best opinions expressed by the justices on the court. Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg is most famous for her dissenting opinions in recent times, and I hope that there may be a day in the future when many of her dissenting opinions will become the prevailing opinion of the Supreme Court of the United States. Another famous dissenter on the Supreme Court was one that maybe we haven't heard of as much because it's further in the past, and that is Associate Justice Louis D. Brandeis, whose dissenting opinions during his tenure on the court from 1916 to 1939 remind us how long these justices can be on the court, and it can be a lifetime. His dissenting opinions became the basis for future opinions that upheld the right of freedom of speech and the right of privacy. He made an argument all the way back in 1890 that we have the right to be left alone. And his dissenting opinions on freedom of speech and the right of privacy became the seeds for future progress, and also the protection of these core human rights. Core human rights that tragically have come under systematic and violent assault during the past 2.5 months. Systematic and violent assault as people are being abducted, detained, deported, and sometimes simply disappeared, though we know where they're being disappeared to for the most part, a concentration camp in El Salvador, without due process. And some of the persons being abducted, detained, and deported are being so simply because they have expressed political opinions and opinions about human rights that are dissenting from the current presidential administration. These assaults on the right to free speech, the right to freedom of assembly, the right to privacy, represent what we will view as one of the darkest chapters in American history, if our democracy survives to write that history. And if unchecked, it could very well lead to the death of our democracy and the freedoms that our democracy is meant to protect. Autocrats of the past, autocrats of the present, cannot tolerate dissent. This is not because they are strong. This is because they are weak. Fascists are emboldened more by the silence of those who know they are evil but say and do nothing than they are by the praise of their supporters. As Martin Luther King Jr. so powerfully reminds us, one who passively accepts evil is as much involved in it as one who helps to perpetuate it. One who accepts evil without protesting against it is really cooperating with it, King says. He goes further to state, in the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. And as Elie Wiesel, the Nobel Peace Laureate who was a survivor of the Holocaust, reminds us, neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented. Sometimes we must interfere. When human lives are endangered, when human dignity is in jeopardy, national borders and sensitivities become irrelevant. Wherever men or women are persecuted because of their race, religion, or political views, that place must, at that moment, become the center of the universe. When attempts are being made to silence dissent, that is precisely the time when the voices of dissent are most needed. When people are being abducted, deported, and disappeared without any due process, we must dissent. When states are passing anti-woke laws, whitewashing history, and devaluing the lives and experiences of persons who are LGBTQ2S+, this is precisely the time when silence, especially silence from allies, is unacceptable. We must dissent. Many persons find it difficult to dissent. It's not easy. Many persons are afraid of what others will think of them. They might think badly of you for dissenting. Many are afraid of negative consequences. You might get attacked on social media. You might get attacked in real life, although in many ways, let's not forget, social media is a part of real life. But part of being a mature and responsible person is to be okay with persons not liking you or working against you when you speak out against systemic injustices. Keep in mind that MLK had a 75% disapproval rating in the last year of his life because he spoke out against the war in Vietnam. It's not possible to create positive social change without some sacrifice and without willing to experience some social rejection and even suffering, and even unjust attacks. Dissenting in times like these, even in the midst of these dangers, even in the midst of these negative consequences, even in the midst of having persons who may not like us for dissenting, dissenting in times like these is essential. But it's also critical that when we dissent, that we are being responsible with our right to dissent. Our dissenting views should be based in our best understanding of the truth. We should do all we can to avoid misinformation, disinformation, and propaganda that is pervaded with falsehoods and half-truths. We should do our fact-checking. We should make sure that what we post online or what we say is actually based in fact, is actually true. Or if we say that someone said something, we should really make sure that they actually said it. We have to make sure that what we're spreading is not propaganda that is full of falsehoods and half-truths. This is challenging in our digital age. Very challenging in our digital age when lies travel much faster and farther than the truth. There's been research on this. Lies that are full of hatred and fear travel much faster and farther than the truth. But it is essential if we are to be responsible in our dissenting speech and actions to try to live those out in the truth. Because we are not dissenting simply for the sake of dissenting or to be a contrarian. We are dissenting for the sake of a better society for all persons, and I would say also for all life. We are dissenting for the shared values that we hold so dear: interdependence, equity, transformation, pluralism, generosity, and justice, all surrounding and supported by love at the center. We are dissenting out of solidarity for the most vulnerable among us, even if they don't look like us, believe like us, or experience the world like us. We are dissenting for the sake of beloved community. And beloved community must be based on truth. I'll close with some more wisdom from Elie Wiesel, who in his Nobel Peace Prize lecture said these words: "There may be times when we are powerless to prevent injustice, but there must never be a time when we fail to protest. The Talmud tells us that by saving a single human being, one can save the world. May we not fail to protest. May we not fail to dissent." At this time, we have an opportunity to give. Those who wish may bring your gifts to the bowl, and there's also an opportunity to give online. Let's stand in body or spirit for the benediction and the extinguishing of the chalices. Go out now with hearts and hands and minds renewed to the world that is waiting for you. Go out to that world to bring your gentle touch to those in pain. Go out to feed and house those in need. Go out to speak truth to those with power. Go out with courage to do the work which calls you. Go out now with your passion and faith to change the world. Let us join in the words to extinguish the chalices. We extinguish these flames, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.